Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack a fascinating linguistic code that's tucked away inside the Quran. And what it reveals is this really surprising, deep connection between divine revelation and the unseen world that's all around us. Okay, so let's jump right in with a puzzle. What in the world could possibly connect the divine scripture given to a prophet with the simple, everyday instinct of a honeybee? I know, it sounds kind of strange, but the Quran uses the exact same conceptual framework for both. Unpacking that connection is exactly what we're going to do today. All right, our very first clue is a single but incredibly powerful Arabic word, Wahy. If we can get a real handle on what this term means, we've got the first key to solving this whole puzzle. Now, here's the key. Wahy isn't just revelation in the way we normally think about it. The sources show us it's much more like a mechanism. It describes this direct transmission of knowledge that completely bypasses our normal senses. It's not learned, it's not observed. Honestly, you can almost think of it as a direct download. And this is where it gets really interesting. The Quran applies this concept of wahy to a totally incredible range of recipients. I mean, yeah, it's used for prophets receiving scripture, of course, but also for bees just acting on instinct, for the earth itself fulfilling its role, for a mother who gets this urgent intuition in a moment of crisis, and even for the disciples of Jesus. So what does that tell us? It tells us wahy is this universal way of communicating directly, not something that's just limited to one special group. This verse is just the perfect example. The Quran uses the exact same root word, awaha, to talk about God's communication with a bee as it does when it talks about a prophet. The message here is crystal clear. It's the same fundamental process at work, a direct signal from a source to a recipient. Okay, so that brings us to our second clue. If wahy is the signal, then what's the source of that signal? Where is it coming from? The answer lies in another key Quranic idea, Al-Ghaib. So you can think of Al-Ghaib as this vast reality that just exists beyond our five senses. It's the whole realm of information, of events, of cosmic laws that are totally hidden from our normal perception. You could almost call it the source code of existence that we just can't access on our own. And the sources are really, really clear on this. This realm is locked. The Quran says over and over again that no human being, not even a prophet, has the keys to this unseen reality. Access to Al-Ghaib, well, that belongs to God, and God alone. But then we find this critical exception, the one that connects everything. The source is locked, right? But this verse tells us that God can choose to disclose parts of that hidden knowledge, and that disclosure happens through a very specific channel, a chosen messenger. So now we've got both of our clues on the table, Wahy, the direct signal, and Al-Ghaib, the hidden source. So let's put them together and see what we get. And here's how they fit together so perfectly. The relationship is all about the what versus the how. Al-Ghaib is the what. It's the source of the information, the hidden content itself. And Wahy? Well, that's the how. It's the delivery mechanism. It's the process that brings a piece of that hidden content right into our world. And you know what? The Quran itself makes this connection totally explicit. This verse just lays it out plainly. The news of Al-Ghaib, that's the content, is revealed by way of Wahy. It's a perfectly clear, functional relationship. No ambiguity there. But this insight brings up a pretty big question, doesn't it? If Wahy is a universal mechanism, does that mean everyone's a prophet? Well, not quite. The sources show us there's a really vital distinction we have to make here, and it reveals two very different functions of Wahy. So the sources lay out two distinct types. First, you've got prophetic Wahy. This is the big one, the kind that establishes religious law for all of humanity. The Quran itself is the ultimate example. But then you've got personal Wahy. This is that direct situational guidance for an individual, like that inspiration Moses' mother received. Now this verse, it confirms that the first type, that prophetic Wahy, is now sealed. That phrase, seal of the prophets, it signifies that the chapter on new religious law or new scripture is closed. That door is shut. And yet this next verse swings another door wide open. It uses the word bashar, which means any human being, not just a prophet. And it says that God can speak to any person through Wahy. So while the door to prophetic law is closed, the door to personal guidance and inspiration, that remains open to every single one of us. So what are the implications of all this? I mean, what does it really mean for our spiritual lives today if this kind of personal guidance is actually accessible to everyone? This all leads us to two very different ways of looking at guidance. On one hand, you have the Quran's model, direct access to personal inspiration for all, with the core religious text itself protected from any change. And that stands in pretty sharp contrast to other models, where guidance is filtered through a class of religious authorities, which can sometimes create a sense of dependency. Ultimately, what this framework does is achieve this absolutely brilliant balance. It offers maximum accessibility for every single individual to receive personal guidance, but at the exact same time, it provides maximum protection for the core religious text by sealing prophetic revelation that prevents anyone from coming along later and trying to alter the foundation of the faith. And that leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. The entire structure we've just walked through seems to suggest that a direct line to guidance is open, which kind of challenges the need for intermediaries or gatekeepers. So the question to reflect on is this: what could that direct line mean for you?